Benjamin Spande, who's also known as Lofe on YouTube, is one of the internet's most famous internet pranksters. He has amassed 1.7 million subscribers in a span of just 2 years, and he consistently gains 1 million views per upload. He even managed to collaborate with the internet's most famous pranksters, such as Jidion and Baylen Levine. But the way he got to the top, however, is much more troubling and sadder than you think. It all began when Lofe was born on the 7th of June, year 2000, in the state of Minnesota. His story began right when he was in kindergarten. Lofe was a shy kid. He was very introverted and he wouldn't even talk to teachers or adults in his class. His earliest memories he had of his childhood was that of loneliness and sadness.
It was not like a normal tantrum, sadness. When I had to go to school the next day, I would literally sit in my room and just weep.
He struggled to connect with his peers. He barely even made any sort of meaningful social connection in the early years of his life. But these problems got even worse as he entered high school. Lofe's time at high school could be described as one of the hardest times of his life. Lofe was experiencing an excruciating identity crisis at the time. He had massive insecurities regarding his own appearance, which was ultimately caused by the immense bullying he experienced at school. He was constantly made fun of for things he couldn't control, especially his race. He was a victim of racist comments where he was constantly made fun of just for being Korean. He faced years of torment and abuse where kids in his school made fun of his looks, his body, and his timid demeanor. It got so bad that it reached a point where he had to hide from people just to not get picked on. As a coping mechanism, he had to lie to himself and create a fake personality just to make friends and to win over other people. This was incredibly tough for Lofe, and it took a heavy toll on his mental health.
I would literally not even be myself just because I wanted friends so bad. I couldn't buy a friend. I was just so lonely all the time. I wanted friends. And I wanted that arm around me that just told me everything was gonna be okay. And I never got that. I just wanted that so bad.
He sought refuge in games, music, and specifically YouTube videos to cope with the pain he was experiencing at the time. This deepest point in his life allowed him to form a passion for music and video creation, as he believed that it was the only way he could truly express himself without being scrutinized. These years of emotional, physical, and verbal abuse took a toll on Lofe's mental health, which made him severely depressed and insecure. In 2017, Lofe had finally graduated high school. After finally leaving the place that caused him the most distress, anger, and hatred toward himself, he felt that moving out and heading to college was the right choice. He attended Bethel University, where he wanted to make a name for himself in a college town where nobody knew who he was. He believed that this could finally be the time where he finally isn't called a failure and a loser anymore. Despite his new start in college, the trauma he experienced in high school still haunted him. He felt that he didn't belong in university. He couldn't get away from the horrors, abuse, and trauma he experienced for most of his life. With college starting, he finally pursued his passion in music so that he could finally be able to express himself and break free from the pressures he faced. Despite creating music, however, he never received any sort of success. He ultimately abandoned his own musical project after several failures. He became a laughingstock for the people that knew about him and his musical projects. This caused him to struggle to fit in and make friends in college. This all made him feel very alone. This terrible mental state that he was in was reflected in his job and academic performance. He struggled to hold down a job and was continuously getting fired left and right.
Basically, I've worked every shit job in the book. Literally, car wash, scrubbing, vomit, all the jobs in the book. And I've always been, they always end up with me getting fired because I don't know, I'm not a very good employee.
He was also put on academic probation after just 1 semester in college.
And I'm getting emails from my school that I am on academic probation and that if I don't get my grades up above a certain GPA, I will be kicked out of college. And mind you, I almost got kicked out of college before I even went to college.
These atrocious failures were the final nail in the coffin for Lofe. The failures he experienced, the abuse he faced, and him having to fake who he was, led Lofe to the idea that he was meant to fail and to be alone. He truly believed that he was destined to be a lifelong failure. He felt isolated during his time in university.
I was extremely lonely for a long time in college. I remember, because I wasn't involved in anything. There was nothing that interested me, and
This constant emotional torture that was being inflicted upon him gave him some dangerously intrusive thoughts that nearly caused him to make the largest mistake that he could ever do in his entire life.
It all all just got pretty overwhelming, especially when you have no one to talk to about it. And it's just like, nobody's listening to me. I tried to take my own life. I don't know how close I got. I don't want to know. I don't want to think about it because I don't want to relive it. But that's the way I felt.
Despite people telling him that he was going to be a failure for the rest of his life, deep down, he believed that he was going to do something great. Always fear a man who has nothing to lose. This was the quote that struck Lofe very deeply. He had nothing to lose by trying even harder and by being more confident and bold. Just one move in the right direction could make or break his whole journey of being one of the greats. After having a depressive episode in his room, he began to watch YouTube to calm himself down. He saw a video on YouTube by a channel called Love Live Serve doing a tarantula prank in some random university.
Excuse me. I study entomology, and something happened with the cage earlier. Don't worry, it won't hurt you at all. But my red-haired tarantula got out of the cage here. Don't step on it. Don't like step on it or anything. It just does move fast. But if you see it, just don't step on it. No.
This was the video that inspired him to finally pursue his passion in video creation. So he decided to start up a YouTube channel. He struggled to think of a name for his YouTube channel at first, but until he had this specific idea.
I need to come up with a name, and I wanted it to be a name that was representative of how I was feeling in the moment and the time. So I came up with the name Lofe, L-O-F-E, and it means loser of fucking everything. And that's what the name I came up with because that's how I felt at that moment. I was like, I am a fucking loser at everything, and maybe this one thing I won't be a fucking loser at.
On March 15th, 2019, Lofe finally started his YouTube channel and uploaded his first prank video. The video was titled, "I Lost My Snake in a College Lecture."
Excuse me, this is kind of embarrassing. I study entomology here, and we're doing an experiment breeding 2 ball pythons, and I had a lecture in here right before my lab today, and one of the pythons got loose in this room. Don't panic, do not step on it. Don't step on it, just look down at your feet.
The video was a smash success, garnering 169,000 views within just a few days. He never gave up. He kept on going and was determined to make one of his passions into a career. He continued creating content, but he took a long break off of YouTube to focus on college. He graduated university with a bachelor's degree and decided to return to YouTube to pump out more public humiliation pranks. Within just a couple videos, he nearly hit the 1 million view mark on his channel. He kept on going and he managed to do the impossible. He hit 1 million subscribers in less than a year, despite the traumatic bullying he experienced over the years. YouTube allowed Lofe to finally heal from these past experiences. He finally was able to be his true self and make a living off of it with the support of his dedicated fan base. This is living proof that you are just one step away from achieving your dreams.